Welcome to Warped. We're a podcast. Tonight we're going to enter a time warp and get to spend extra quality time with Guinan and Tasha Yar. Let's get warped. I'm Erin.
I'm Shawn.
My name is Matt.
I'm Jake.
I'm Minwin.
I'm Mike.
You took us off on a new direction, Erin. I like it. Boldly go where warped hasn't begun before with your intro.
Every time.
Dropping a little knowledge about the episode.
I like the impromptu way it is every time. Like it's a little bit different every time. I like it.
Yeah.
So we're watching. What are we watching today, Erin?
We're watching yesterday's Enterprise.
Yeah, let's see.
You guys were really talking this one up this last time, so
45 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock, and I'm punching the triangle in 3, 2, 1, punch.
I'm expecting a lot this week.
Well, you know it's going to be great if Guinan shows up on the outset. Come on.
True, we get Guinan right off the bat.
We get a lot of Guinan FaceTime.
There's a very special guest in this episode, you guys. Do you know who it is?
I do.
Yes.
Erin said Tasha Yar.
No, you missed the joke. The special guest is It's me, Marty.
Larry.
What? Is that the one you meant to push?
Yeah.
Mario's the special guest.
It's funny if it had worked the way it was supposed to. It would have been funny.
Okay, I believe you.
I think you have it a little far from the mic. Normally it's a little too close, but now it's too far.
It's too loud, so I was trying not to hear.
I know. You gotta find that balance.
He's drinking prune juice right now. Worf is drinking prune juice.
And he loves it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
he calls it a warrior's drink.
Yeah, it is.
Because you have to battle with your insides afterwards.
You'd be pooping like a warrior.
Oh,
she's trying to
wait.
That he could date a human girl, and he's like, I would break them in half.
And she's like, I know a few that would think you're tame.
Yep.
Yeah. Was that really the conversation?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, wow. They're really getting personal now.
Yes. Last week we did talk up this episode that it gets put in like top 5s all the time.
Yes. This is an excellent episode.
Agree.
And Erin, you said Tasha Yar was on this episode?
I did. I watched 2 episodes of Star Trek today independently. So we must be in a time warp.
We're in some kind of alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Where you're voluntarily watching Star Trek on your own time.
It's great though. I give it a 9, Shawn.
All right. Already calling it, huh?
Yeah, I'm calling it.
Oh.
Uh-oh, there she is.
More. Yeah. Wow, she's looking good.
At first I was like, did they just use flashback stuff to make this? But she came on and did a whole, and see Guinan's outfit's different. She's like, something's wrong here.
Yeah, something's gone wrong.
She's like, I'm not as drunk as I was a second ago. That's not
Is she the only one that notices?
Yep.
She is, because she's got, weird
special powers.
So this isn't right.
She's got the wisdom.
She's got the power of the wisdoms.
Another Enterprise has shown up. This is the old Enterprise C men.
Is Min the only person who didn't watch this?
I did not watch it.
Probably, yeah. Sounds like it.
Oh.
So so you're the only person that we're going to need to explain what's happening.
Please. It's a lonely boat for me today. Nice. These outfits look cut differently, other than the silver bands that they're wearing strapped around.
They are. They have a high collar.
The collars are.
Their outfits don't have.
That's what it is.
They made all of these changes. Well, Shawn, do your thing, and then we'll talk about it.
Yesterday's Enterprise, Season 3, Episode 15. Original air date February 17th, 1990. The Enterprise C enters the Enterprise D's time and space continuum, where they find Picard and crew in a constant state of war with the Klingons, and only Guinan knows it. Erin, you said 9.
Hell yeah.
Hey, what did you think?
7.
7.
Oh, not that good.
That's on the high end for me. Minwin?
8. How about an 8?
I'll go 9.3.
Ooh, pushing it.
I'm going to go 8.7.
9.2.
Oh, man.
Ooh, there you go. Erin got it.
That's right.
She felt it.
I think it deserves a 9.2, but I went down because I thought there's people on
sometimes
IMDb.
the popular ones, they get rated down because people are like, it's not as good as people say it is.
Yeah, I was trying to anticipate the internet's terrible behavior.
Right.
You shouldn't do that. It just leads you astray.
At the 50th anniversary Star Trek convention in Las Vegas in August of 2016, fans voted this the 5th best episode of the Star Trek franchise, not just Next Generation, of all Star Trek.
If I was gonna give my real score, not try and guess what the internet did, I would have said 10. I think this is a kind of a perfect episode.
It's a great episode. I was tired and I stayed up the entire time.
Right?
Wow.
Episode
High praise.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, to answer your question, they've made all of these changes so that you're in a different timeline, right?
Yeah.
So the ship looks different, the uniforms are different. Even you can't hear it because we're not listening to the sound, but the sound of the ship is different.
Oh, interesting.
Damn. I didn't know
The other thing about this episode that I found was this is Quentin Tarantino's favorite episode. And basically, if he ever gets to make his Star Trek movie, it'll basically be the storyline.
He's never going to do that.
Yeah, they're not going to.
So the point is, they really thought through all of these little details so that you would notice, so that you would believe that it was this different timeline that they.
I definitely noticed the lighting. I didn't notice that their outfits were different.
Yeah, see how high the collar is on his neck.
Now I'm picking up on it. It's cool.
Well, and the bridge is different too. They don't have the 3 seats.
Different.
It's only the one captain's chair, like the old Enterprise.
Oh, I see.
Riker is standing because they're now at war.
Yeah.
They're not a peace driving vehicle now. They're a war. There's no kids on board. They make a comment about there being no children on board.
Military vessel.
It's a military vessel.
Are their personalities the same?
Pretty much.
Yes, except they're at war. So
sure, and they deal
Picard
with that reality.
Picard is back to his old early season 1 badass persona. Like he's a lot. This version of Picard is a lot more uncuddly than the Picard we get now because they've been fighting this war for years and years, and so he doesn't call Riker by
number
his
one.
name or number 1. He calls him Commander. There's just little details to show how everything is different.
And Riker's a lot more of he's really gung ho about fighting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
And he calls it he doesn't call it his captain's log. He calls it his military log or combat log or something like that when he's doing his little voiceovers.
They thought of everything.
So if there's Enterprise
really
C and D, how far out do the Enterprise numbers go? Or not the letters, the Enterprise C, Enterprise D.
Yeah.
Go past E.
There's an E that we'll see someday when we get to the Next Generation movies. That's as far as they've gone, I think, with the Enterprises.
Yeah, officially, I think that's all that they've done on TV and movies, anyways.
Oh man, look at this set design here. It's almost movie quality.
Yeah,
they went out for this episode.
Stan and I watched this episode last night, even though both of us have seen it 100 times. And we both were like, this could have been a movie. They could have stretched this plot out if they had wanted to and turned this idea into a full movie.
I'm telling you, that's what Quentin Tarantino's going to do.
He's not.
And they're going to say fuck a lot. So it gets I
find that whole thing super irritating. He's just not ever going to do that. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of the opposite of the Star Trek brand, right?
If you ever
they would be stupid to let him. It would be terrible because he's not right for Star Trek, but they would do it anyway because he's Quentin Tarantino. But if they really thought about it, what they should say is, you do not match up with us. No thanks.
If you ever wanted a 3.5-hour Star Trek movie, that's how you could get one.
Right.
That's not going to be a short experience.
Isn't there something to be said for the drama or the controversy that could draw and the attention that could bring to Star?
Everybody would go see it because
it would be a financial decision. Yeah. It would not necessarily be the most artistic decision one could.
It would ruin Star Trek, but forever. But it would make a ton because everybody would go see it.
So here's one of the guest stars. Do you recognize him in?
Min's not going to. No.
No.
Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
well, no. I was going to say, is that James Kirk? No, that's not James Kirk.
It
Who's
is
that
not James Kirk.
guy?
He's that guy. He does
He is maybe that guy.
That's true.
I looked at his IMDb page today because I was curious, and he's got a list of credits that it's like hundreds of entries because he's just been on like every single TV show and
He's
a
been in
million
shit ton of movies.
Yeah, he's always in the background.
Would you say Shooter McGavin is his most popular?
Oh man, that's what I was quoting.
Is that what most people think him from?
I've never even heard of that movie.
I think May thought of something
That's
different.
his character in Happy Matt and what's it called? I fucked up the name. Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy in Happy
Shooter
Gilmore.
McGavin, yeah.
To me, he's Daryl from Thelma and Louise and Goose from Grease 2.
Yeah, Goose. That's where he is for me.
So,
you know, Sean, Grease 2, speaking of, was on Turner Classic Movies last night.
Oh yeah.
So, because on Friday nights, on Friday nights, Turner Classic Movies does this like Turner Underground thing where they play kind of like movies that you wouldn't expect to be on Turner Classic Movies.
Like Grease 2.
Last night they were showing Grease 2, and I was telling Stan all about how you're the number one Grease 2 defender in the world.
I will defend that movie.
I said, if you ever want to talk to Sean for about an hour, ask him about Grease 2.
Oh, May, we were talking about it too. May had a pretty interesting take on Grease 2.
I did?
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Let's do it.
It's the better movie story-wise, but the other one had better numbers overall.
Yeah.
But
I think the highs of Grease 2 are better than the highs of Grease, but Grease 2 has lower lows,
more extreme
than Grease does.
I don't. I would go.
So Grease is bipolar, you're saying?
I reject all of these arguments. I mean, I guess I kind of can see where May's coming for, where it doesn't, because it doesn't have where May's coming from, because it doesn't have the she has to change to make him happy thing at the end.
Right.
But I think that is blown way out of proportion. I mean, does anybody really believe that's gonna stick? She's gonna go back to being her normal self, and he'll be the one who changes.
Yeah,
it's always the guy who changes.
He changes too. I mean, he's got the Letterman sweater on at the end.
He tries.
He definitely tries to change for her.
I think he was more likely to be the one who changes more in the end. But anyway, I get the point that the message is better in Grease 2. I just think Michelle Pfeiffer is great, but she's not as good as Olivia Newton-John is in the first one. And what's his face is a real step down from John Travolta.
And Adrian Samed is
you don't even remember his
step
name.
down from Jeff Conway.
Right, and there's no
Maxwell Caulfield. Thank you.
There's no Stockard Channing. I mean, it's just not as good in pretty much every way you could point to. But whatever, fine.
But
except for audience enjoyment.
Grease 2 has 4 songs that are all about sex that use 4 different metaphors to talk about sex.
I don't know.
Sean's into that.
Also, there's a song in that movie where the guy tries to basically trick the girl into having sex with him by telling her that nuclear war has broken out. They're hiding in a bomb shelter. That's not a great message. Like, if we want to talk about bad messages.
It's not a great message, no. It's a funny song, though.
It is a funny song. Anyway, let's talk about yesterday's Enterprise.
Yeah, right.
This woman is delivering a performance here.
So yeah, Christopher McDonald is that guy's name. He's been in a million.
You see a better shot of him, I think you'll recognize him.
TV shows and movies.
Shot you saw with him being flashlight in his face. He cleans up and starts hanging out with Tasha.
Do Data and Tasha have exchanged any looks?
Oh, they're at war, dude.
Come on. I mean, you can still smash during war.
Natasha's all up in Christopher McDonald.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that they've, it's a different timeline, so that probably maybe never happened.
That's what I was thinking.
So, Min, do you need a plot update, or are you cool with what's happening?
She's from the future.
No, she's
from the past.
Oh, she's from the past. She came to the future 22 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she's from a different timeline, or just their same timeline, but
Their shared past.
Oh,
notice she's wearing the movie era uniforms.
Oh, I had
They've
not
got
noticed
the old
that.
Kirk era movie uniforms that they wear. That's how it's the past.
Oh, I noticed the communicator chip that she has is different.
Which means they wore those uniforms for a long ass time,
right?
Because
this was
they were wearing them in
80 years
the movie
before.
era. This is like 80 years later, so that means for like 50 of those years they wore those maroon outfits.
Yep.
Those were a popular design choice in the future.
That makes me wonder: do they have more than one of those suits in the lore of the world, or they just wear the same suit every day and it cleans itself?
I think
they have
we've
like
talked
a
about this before, and I think what we decided was that the replicator that makes, Picard's tea or whatever could just make you a fresh uniform
every day.
So you probably just throw the old one into the replicator and it disassembles it into its, constituent atoms and then recombines it minus the dirt,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't go to sleep.
They've never actually shown that. Like, we're just speculating, but, that seems like they use that fucking thing for everything else. Why wouldn't they? Why have a dry cleaner on board when you can, just use the replicator?
Sure, yeah.
They show a uniform replicator on Discovery.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Michael Burnham makes her own uniform when she joins the crew of a new ship.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I do kind of remember that moment now. That's way early, right? That's pretty early in the show. Yeah. I do kind of remember that. So there you go, man. They replicate them.
Okay. Nice.
Confirmed.
Canon.
It's canon, you guys.
Canon now.
This guy looks like he could have played one of the Stark kids. Like the who's that? Not John Stark.
Like Game of Thrones?
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
You see, okay, you confused me for a second because I was thinking about Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Like one of the Stark kids.
Sorry.
Who? Okay, so you're talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
I don't agree with you, but okay.
Oh, no? No? Okay. We'll look when we see him again. I like that they had the blue sky
He's
dome on.
very good at playing
rough and rugged,
like high status, like douchebag type characters.
Yeah.
And sort of white collar criminals. I feel like he plays a lot.
Yeah.
Sort of waspy bad guys is sort of his stock and trade. Although he's not a bad guy in this episode. He's a sweetie in this episode.
Yeah, he's a good guy in this one.
I love this performance. I think he's actually terrific in this episode.
They didn't want to
establish. They have a lot. They have to get this whole relationship built and believable in 30 minutes so that it pays off at the end. And the fact that they managed to do that, I think, is really a testament to him. And he's got good chemistry with old Denise Crosby. Erin, were you surprised to see Denise Crosby again?
Yeah. And initially I thought, because I thought she left on like kind of sour terms. I thought, they must be using like clips from old episodes to do this. And then she was sticking around. I was like, oh no, they got her back.
Yeah. So I guess despite the fact that I think I was reading up a little bit on it today, and I think that everyone kind of felt bad all around about the way she left the show, like including her. Like she kind of regretted it after she did it. And so they had been talking about trying to find a way to bring her back, even just for, one episode. Yeah. So even though I guess there may have been some bad feelings at the time, like everybody got over it pretty quick. And
that's nice. Well, and this is
realized that they wanted to bring her back. And it's such a fun idea, right? It's such a great idea for an episode.
I love the look on Guinan's face when she crossed paths with her.
This is an extremely famous sort of gifable, meme-y kind of moment when he goes, "Not good enough, damn it, not good enough."
Yeah. He's like, I'm following your gut instinct right now.
And I love, we talk about this all the time. I love that they keep Guinan mysterious. She doesn't have any proof. She's just telling him, you have to trust me. I can't prove it, but I have my weird witchy powers, and you have to trust me.
And he does.
I think they are both terrific in this episode. Erin, did you like watching the two of them have these arguments
and
with
I'm
each
just
other?
so pleased to have more time with her. She's always great in her episodes, but it's usually like, limited. So
Right. She's in one scene.
This is the most time on screen I think she's had.
Oh, this is easy. This has got to
Definitely.
be the biggest part she's had in an episode so far.
It might be the biggest part she has in any episode.
Period.
Yeah, there's a few more Guinan-y episodes later on.
That are more Guinan-y, that are just as Guinan-y as this.
Yeah, more or less.
But this has a lot of meat to it right now.
Yeah, it's classic. It's a classic Star Trek moral dilemma, right? What's the right thing to do?
Right.
Do we sink this ship back into the past?
Yeah.
Where they're going to die.
What'd you say, Erin?
Oh, just that it's not an easy one to pick apart. They have to do a lot of slicing and dicing of like, okay, this is maybe okay, this isn't. And then, spoiler alert, when Tasha goes back, like, is that really okay? It's like they kind of have to like, some of it has to just be like, maybe this will be fine. I don't know. A lot of it is on just hoping for the best.
Yeah. This is a pretty classic
what a great shot
TV
that they had.
Science. Oh, I gotta stop for a second. Because look at this. This moment with the two of them is so good.
It doesn't matter because they don't overlap. So she's like, wait, what?
Right. So
but she's
Denise Crosby left the show before Whoopi Goldberg joined the cast. Right. So these two characters have never met in the proper timeline. And but Tasha knows Guinan because she's been living in this alternate timeline this whole time. So later on, they have a really good scene where she says, we shouldn't even know each other because in the timeline of the show, they never met.
Man, the hair is so good all around. I'm big ups to the hair department.
I think Denise Crosby looks great and way better than she looked before in season one. Partly because everybody looks better. Like the makeup and the lighting is a lot better from season one.
The quality of the image.
And she just looks, I think, a lot cooler than she looked back on the first season one.
Yeah.
Doesn't she look great? She
could be in Mass Effect. Edge to her. She's got those really nice sculpted lines. Yeah, she looks great. I don't love the lipstick. I think it's a little much, but are they having a moment here? Are they sharing?
Yeah.
They're getting close.
A little bit.
Yes, they are falling a little.
They're
bit.
A little flirty.
They're dropping their titles. Also, I thought that was Joe Piscopo.
Joe Piscopo.
No, he's the comedian on the holodeck.
Yeah, we already saw Joe Piscopo.
I know. It's like they brought him back to do another different role.
What's funny is I was going to be like, how could you mistake that? But then in my mind, I actually imagined Joe Pesci, not Joe Piscopo.
Okay, let's move on before we really sink down a hole. Min, did you notice that the backdrop at 10 Forward was different? Like, it didn't have the usual backdrop that behind Guinan. It had a big old
NCC
logo.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's just another one of these little things that they changed. Picard's office, where he usually has his Shakespeare book and his painting of the Enterprise and his fish tank and all that stuff. They took all that stuff out. So his office just has like military type stuff.
Yeah, you couldn't have a fish tank in wartime. That would be.
Maybe you have a beta fish. I don't know.
Did we miss the moment where Whoopi says there should be children on this ship, and Picard's like, "Have you lost your fucking mind?"
That was a few scenes back.
Okay, that was their first confrontation. They have more than one confrontation in this episode, so I don't remember exactly which bits happen when. But I like him just going, "Children, you've lost your mind," because Picard famously hates children and doesn't think they should be on the Enterprise. So this is the one part of the alternate timeline that, in Picard's opinion, would be better than the normal timeline. He'd be like, "There's no children on this ship. Excellent." Sorry. I just went on a little run there.
No, it was good though. It was good. It was necessary.
Taking it in.
I have a lot of feelings about this episode. I don't know if you guys can tell, but
Yeah.
I really like this episode. It would easily be in my top 5 of all time.
Me too, so far.
So
I'm sure the whole crew must have had a great time.
It must have been a lot of fun to make because they get to do all this fun stuff they don't normally get to do.
Tweak it, right?
They have belts that have like the
Weapons.
Starfleet logo on them and their phasers.
Well, they all even Beverly has a sidearm.
Oh.
They all wear sidearms because it's wartime.
I did think it was weird Wesley's in this episode, but I guess technically he's officially on the crew now. So
I know. I guess.
Well, he wears the ensign, the red.
Yeah.
In this,
what I was kind of thinking was that if they're at war, maybe they drafted him, but let him join Starfleet.
Well, I think the whole point is that like maybe he was through Starfleet and was on as an ensign.
Right.
Yeah, they rushed him through.
Yeah.
They need.
So, Min, you were asking about Tasha and Data. This is kind of the scene that they get together, and it's nice that they gave them a scene together because they had such a history and chemistry with each other back in the early seasons. So it's nice that they gave those two a scene together. But it's not like a flirty scene. It's more like she's asking him for advice about what to do because she's starting to fall for this guy. And Picard has decided to take Guinan's advice and send these people back into the past, even though he knows that will inevitably result in them dying.
Yeah.
Because they're horribly overmatched in the fight that they've come from in the past. So there's like literally no way for them to win this fight. But they're going anyway because Guinan has told him they have to go back in time and die to set the timeline. It's a pretty classic sci-fi story. Like lots of shows do this kind of like alternate universe, alternate timeline, dystopia kind of episode that has to be fixed by the end of the episode. And then, of course, the punchline is that none of them remember it because to them it never happened.
Mm-hmm. But we remember it.
Right.
Or do we?
Or do we?
We'll see.
Shawn should. He's got that sort of claptrap mind.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Shawn.
And then, so what Picard is saying to her here, Min, is, look, we talked about that it would be useful to have you guys stay because we need all the ships we can get. But then Picard tells her, actually, we don't need one more ship because we're losing the war. And Starfleet, no one knows this yet, but Starfleet's planning on surrendering to the Klingons. So whether we have you here or not isn't going to make a difference in our time, but it could make a difference back in the past.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, you convinced me. I'll go.
Well, that makes it a little neat, doesn't it? Because like there's really no other choice. I sort of feel like if they hadn't said that it would be more of a sacrifice here, more of a
if it was a hard
bargain. Yeah, harder decision.
I think it's hard because he knows they're going to die. Like that's more important than whether we have this ship in the future or not. Like, it's more about the people and sending them to their certain doom.
Yeah,
that's the moral dilemma he has to deal with.
That makes sense.
I like the scene. It was a few scenes ago, but where he's telling the gang in his office that he's going to do Guinan's thing, and they're all like, they start to object, and he's like, this is not a democracy. I'm I'm telling you what my decision is.
I'm not asking, I'm informing.
Yeah, he's like, and that's another thing to kind of show you the difference is that in our normal timeline, Picard is like, he likes hearing everyone's opinions, and they always they sit around the conference table and they talk about what the right thing to do is because that's their vibe. But in this war future, Picard's like, I'm not asking you your opinion. I'm telling you I'm doing Guinan's thing, and if you don't like it, you can shove. So I like that scene because it shows how different Picard is as a manager.
Yeah.
And Tasha Yar goes back with this ship. Interesting. I think you guys had mentioned it earlier, but I
Erin spoiled it for you, but that's okay.
I did say spoiler alert before I said
And it is a 30-year-old episode of television. And like, if you haven't
Min's
seen it
had
by now,
time. If he really cared, he'd have seen it by now.
Yeah, sure.
I don't feel too bad for you getting.
Damn.
Oh
Man, that gouged her hard.
Oh, wow. What a way to go.
It's actually Guinan who helps Tasha kind of decide to go.
It is, and it's really neat that it's Guinan, because those two had never worked together, so it was cool that they got to have those scenes together.
Mm-hmm.
They had never gotten to do that before.
The captain's death sort of puts a wrinkle in things here, doesn't it?
It puts a wrinkle in things, but that's what he's saying. He's saying, "I'll take over as captain of the other ship, and I'll go and I'll carry out the mission." But the problem is that the other ship, the Enterprise C, is fucked up, man. Like almost everybody's dead. That nothing works. So they're really at a disadvantage, right? Going back into this fight that they're about to go back into.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have like the crew even that he needs. The ship is a mess, but he also doesn't have the people he needs to really do this. But he's like, I'm going to do it anyway because that's what my captain would do.
Yeah.
Shawn, who played the captain? Who played Captain Garrett?
Don't fucking
know. Did I
surprise
you with that question? Sorry.
No,
is that
Trisha O'Neill?
Is it the first female starship captain we've seen?
I think so.
It might be. I don't. Yeah, I can't think of another.
It couldn't possibly be.
No, I don't.
Oh no, there's at least one. Okay, there's one in Star Trek 4 that her ship gets its energy sucked out by the whale.
Okay, well there you go.
Beginning of the movie.
I remember there's the one in Conspiracy when the captains all meet to talk about what's going on in command.
Oh, one of them is a woman.
Oh,
right?
one of those.
It's a Vulcan female, I think, right?
I think that may be right. Yeah.
Wow, they just had a really nice kiss there.
Yeah. So here's the scene where Guinan has to explain to her.
Yeah.
That in the other line, you're dead.
And she does not hold back on it, man. She's like, "Look, your death was empty."
Yeah, that was an term, an empty death. I'd never quite heard it in those terms before.
Wow.
I love this scene. I think they're both terrific in it. I think that Whoopi is like laying some truth down on poor Tasha, and when she tells her that her life was that her death was meaningless, I think that's the kicker. Like that's the thing that makes Tasha decide.
That's exactly.
Oh, she's like the Oracle that pushes Neo along.
So at least she can have a death with purpose if she goes back with this crew to fight the good fight.
Yeah, because Tasha's whole deal is that, Starfleet kind of rescued her from kind of a messed up childhood that she had.
That's right.
So she's
the rape gangs.
The rape gang. I wasn't going to say it, but yes, that's right. So she, telling her that she died a meaningless death is that's a real gut punch for poor Tasha.
How did she die again? I kind of forgot what happened there.
A big oil monster came out of the water.
Okay, that's what I had in my mind, but I was like, am I remembering that right? I don't trust my own judgment on some of these.
The sludgy oil monster.
It was
the Metamucil printers ink.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah, that is.
Which I think it's kind of harsh to call that a death without purpose, but.
Well, I mean,
we learned that alien was not to be effed with.
Yeah, they then learned that it'll kill you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, let's not do that again. Tasha, you saved us all.
Yeah.
Well, but then they can. She and the lieutenant can also have a last hurrah, right? They can go off into the sunset together
while they're getting blown up by the Romulans.
They're not really going to have time for that because it's all about what?
I think they'll probably find some time, right? I mean, The person you just kissed to say goodbye, and you're like, oh, I'll never see you again. I'm going to go die. And then she decides to join you. I'm going to find a minute somewhere to be like, what's going on, girl? We're going to die, but it's good to have you. You know, I would just express some sort of appreciation.
Ron Moore, who was wrote this episode, was one of the writers on this episode, says, this is a quote from him. We brought Denise back to kill off Tasha a second time. It was a great opportunity to send the character off in a big heroic sacrifice because nobody was really happy with the way she left in the first season.
Yeah.
So yesterday's Enterprise was a chance to kill her right.
That makes sense.
How nice.
They could do that on Grey's Anatomy with Alex Karev.
She's very good in this scene. I like her a lot in this. This is the best episode of her, all of all time, right, Shawn? Like,
oh yeah.
She's so much more interesting. She is interesting and compelling in this episode in a way she never was back in the first season. Maybe partly because mostly because the writing wasn't as good in that first season as it is now. But
focusing on her too.
This episode makes me miss her, in a way that the first season does not. Like, it makes me wish they had been able to figure out a way to keep her around.
Yeah, just keep getting in that wormhole.
This is the last episode that has all 9 of the original cast members because Tasha and Wesley are both in it, and that combination never happens again where all 9 of them are in the same episode. Trivia.
Love it.
Has somebody been reading Memory Alpha, the Star Trek themed wiki page that has Shawn, you need to get away from IMDb trivia, by the way.
I need to go over there.
Memory Alpha is where it's at.
Better.
Yeah,
okay.
These nerds have every detail about the making of this episode. It's great. It makes me so happy. Yeah. Memory Alpha is the best. It has a whole section on the changes they made in this episode between the normal timeline, and all the things they did to the sets, all the things they did to the costumes, all the things we were talking about earlier. There's just a list of 40 things that they changed. I love Star Trek nerds, man. They are the OG obsessive nerd fandom. There's nothing like Star Trek fans.
They are thorough.
They've been doing this shit for 50 years, some of them.
Yeah.
All right, back into the energized cloud, guys. Time to go. Well, I mean, feels like it's get to be that goodbye that Tasha Yar and that lieutenant keep saying to one another. This
is another very gifified moment. This little bit where he says, let's make sure they remember the name Enterprise. I see that a lot. Do you remember how back in the late 90s, early 2000s, if you had a computer, you could program all of the different sounds that it would make? So what your startup sound was going to be, what your shutdown sound.
Sure, yeah.
Be, right? You could customize.
Yeah, you can still do that.
Yeah, it's just nobody does anymore. Right? It was a novelty at the time. I don't think anybody probably is still doing it.
It's like ringtones.
Yeah,
right.
It's just like the specialized wallpapers and stuff.
Yeah.
Flying toasters.
Yeah. The screensavers.
So I had, how it would make a sound if you did something you weren't supposed to do, like the "you've made a mistake" sound.
Yeah. No.
Mine when I did that on my computer was not good enough. Damn it, not good enough. So that gives you a hint of where
where your head was at.
Fucking nerd.
I loved it. I thought it was so funny. It delighted me. I would do things wrong on purpose just to make it do the sound.
Yeah.
And you guys wonder why I like soundboards now. It all goes back to Star Trek.
It all makes sense now.
I'm waiting for your whole life to just be a soundboard. You can just give us,
we're getting there pretty soon,
clips. Mm-hmm.
If I spend any more time on Twitter, I will cease to exist and will just become an account, an online account.
How's the Twitterverse holding up? Are things same?
Fine, it's the Star Trek. The Star Trek people are all cool.
Okay.
I just try not to read anything having to do with anything else.
Yeah.
There's some hard fighting.
Yeah, they're going out.
Yeah,
it's a big action sequence for this show. You know, they don't usually do too much of this because they didn't have the budget. So it's rare to get sort of a big action-y sequence like this.
And it feels like they're these ship explosions have more shake to them. Like J.J. Abrams is just right around the corner, like he's whispering in their ear.
Yeah.
Yeah, before, like in the old original series, it would just be like they would move around a bit, but now they're really amping up the like explosions.
You can go on YouTube and watch behind the scenes footage of them doing that. And
without the camera
hilarious. Shake. Right, because without the camera shake, it's just a bunch of actors going, whoa, whoa. So it's pretty funny.
They really are taking their time getting in this energized cloud.
Well, they only have so much speed.
They're all messed up. They can't fly very fast.
Oh, I see. Riker. No.
Oh, Riker bites.
Oh, no.
Drink, everybody. Drink. Riker died.
We forgot to drink when the captain died.
Yeah.
Double drinks.
Drink again. Drink for the captain.
Look at Picard jump over that railing.
Yeah, right? And that was him. It wasn't a double.
No, that was him, man. That was all John. That was all PS.
He's reliving his days on the Stargazer.
That was Sir Pat Stew.
Oh, are they just going to blow it up? What the heck? Oh, I see. The first ship will go through and then all is good.
Just trying to get them, buy them the time needed. See, look.
Mark is back. Feeling good from the prune juice.
Changeover. There's a changeover.
And of course, Worf wasn't in the alternate timeline because the Klingons were the baddies.
Exactly.
Memory Alpha said, and Troy wasn't on there because you don't have a counselor on a warship, apparently, right? So Troy wasn't in the alternate universe at all.
Right.
They apparently, well, according to Memory Alpha, the original idea was to have Worf be the guy on one of the captains of the Klingon ships,
right?
Who are in that scene at the end. To have Worf be the one who comes on screen and is like, "We demand you surrender" or whatever. But for whatever reason, they decided not to do that and just had it be a generic Klingon bad guy. Trivia. You see what happens when I actually do research? I have to.
You've got little tidbits
shit value.
Share with us.
I love at the end where she's like, "Jordy, tell me about Tasha Yar." I thought that was nice.
Isn't it great? What a great ending, right?
Yeah.
Because you never knew about her.
Right. But it just reminds you, that, Whoopi, Guinan probably remembers what happened, but the rest of them don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
Well, that was actually a really good episode, guys.
Right?
Yeah.
It is
top 5, huh?
One of the all-time best episodes, for sure.
Okay.
Very cool.
We will also get there are some interesting repercussions from this episode that will will pop up in a little while, in a couple seasons, I guess. Season or two now. We have not seen the end of Denise Crosby.
Okay.
There's a teaser for you.
The image for the next episode has popped up and it looks
I know, it's ridiculous, right? Yeah.
It's like David Bowie's grasshopper.
LAL.
Okay, let's table this because I have a lot of thoughts about it.
Okay.
And I swear to God, just as a teaser for next week. Next week's episode is The Offspring. I watched it last night, and as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, Erin is going to hate the way this thing looks before it becomes a real girl. Erin is going to, remember how much you hated the fish mouth people, the butt mouth people?
Butt mouth people.
Yes, butt mouth, yeah.
It's distracting.
I was like, Erin is going to hate the way this thing looks.
Yeah, a face only an android father could love.
So we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
On Warp.
Mm-hmm.
Erin, do you want to tell the folks how they can follow us online?
You ask that every time.
She does.
What if I could?
Well, why don't I just say that you can follow us on iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can email us at warpedthepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at warpedthepodcast, or buy our merch at lunar_flare. We are on Twitter at Warped Trek. I am on Twitter at HostWarped. You can follow Min to learn about our Dungeons and Dragons and Call of Cthulhu live streams and podcasts at Wet Maynard. And most importantly, you can go to patreon.com/warped, become a subscriber, and get access to additional material and bonus content. The bonus content this week was some Connect Them Alls. Connect Them All Ups.
Connect Them All Ups.
So if you want to listen to us play an illegal version of a British game show, you can become a Patreon subscriber, and we'll have that for you.
You know you do.
Erin, back to you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Good night. I'm Erin.
I'm Shawn.
I'm Matt.
I'm Jake.
I'm Min.
I'm right.
Goodbye.
Wow, this creature is disturbing.
Yeah.
He's
seriously, I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, oh no, like Erin is gonna hate this.
Oh my god. Yeah. All right.